Marilyn Monroe, you must have heard the name. That beautiful diva of the 1950s who had admirers all over the world. Everyone fell in love with her.
I want to marry him for your money.
But what happened that the most famous actress in the Hollywood ended her own life? Was Marilyn Monroe mentally okay? I am Asad Tariq, and today we will uncover the real story of this glamorous yet tragic star. Marilyn Monroe's real name was Norma Jane Mertenson. She was born on June 1st, 1926 in Los Angeles, California. Her childhood was extremely difficult. Her mother Gladys suffered from mental illness, which led to Marilyn being placed in foster homes and orphanages. She could never stay in one home for long. As a child, she deeply felt the absence of love and stability, and this void stayed with her throughout her life. In her youth, Norma Jean began working in a factory during World War II. There, an army photographer started taking pictures of her, and gradually she stepped into the world of modeling. In 1946, she changed her name to Marilyn Monroe, a new name, a new identity. Modeling opened the doors to Hollywood. She began with small roles, but her beauty and charm and screen presence won everyone's heart. In 1950s, she became the biggest star in the Hollywood, with hits like Gentleman Prefers Blonde, The 7 Year Itch, and Someone Like It Hot. While Marilyn's career was soaring, her personal life was in turmoil. She married three times, first to James Doherty, then to famous baseball player Joe DiMaggio, and finally to writer Arthur Miller. Each relationship ended for one reason or another. She was lonely in her life, and her depression and anxiety kept growing. Marilyn underwent therapy repeatedly, but she couldn't find emotional stability. The pressure of Hollywood, the burden of maintaining a glamorous image, and constantly being in the public eye, all of this became mentally exhausting for her. She began relying on sleeping pills, as was often late or absent from sets. Her behavior became unpredictable, which also frustrated the studios. The first hour of Sunday, August 5th, started like any other for Eunice Moray, Marilyn Monroe's live-in housekeeper, at her Brentwood home. But a growing unease quickly settled over her. A light was on in Marilyn's locked bedroom, and repeated knocks went unanswered. A sense of dread compelled Moray to call Marilyn's psychiatrist, Dr. Ralph Greenson. Greenson arrived swiftly. After attempts to rouse Marilyn proved futile, he decided to break a locked bedroom window to get inside. The scene was grim. Marilyn lay nude, face down on her bed, a telephone receiver clutched in her hand. Nearby, they found empty bottles of Nambutal and a chloral hydrate, powerful barbiturate prescribed for sleep and anxiety. The Los Angeles Police Department was immediately called, following a preliminary investigation at the scene and an autopsy by Deputy Coroner Dr. Thomas Noguchi. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office delivered its official verdict: acute barbiturate poisoning, ingestion of overdose, probable suicide. This conclusion wasn't just based on the physical evidence and toxicology reports, which confirmed lethal levels of drugs in her system. It also came from interviews with those closest to Marilyn. Her doctors, psychiatrists, and friends painted a consistent picture. Marilyn was a woman in profound emotional distress. She had a well-documented history of mental health struggles, including severe depression, chronic insomnia, and repeated instances of self-medication, sometimes seeming like cries for help in the form of overdoses. She had been increasingly isolated, recently fired from a film, and wrestling with a deep-seated insecurity that fame could never truly soothe. For the authorities, the evidence lined up: a troubled star, overwhelmed by her demons, had chosen to end her own life. Marilyn Monroe battled severe mental health issues throughout her life. She experienced frequent episodes of depression and anxiety, often feeling overwhelmed by her emotions. Despite her fame, she described a deep sense of emptiness and a vulnerability in her private life. She regularly underwent psychoanalysis, which was popular among Hollywood's elites in the 1950s. These sessions sometimes helped her explore her traumas, but also left her emotionally exposed without stable support. She often felt misunderstood even by her therapist and closest friends. Her mental health challenges made it difficult for her to maintain consistency in her work and relationships. She often withdrew from public life, struggled with insomnia, and was frequently seen crying or in distress. Over time, her inner suffering grew heavier, leading to a sense of hopelessness. Marilyn's early life was marked by abandonment, instability, and abuse, born as Norma Jean Ortenson. She never knew her father, and her mother, Gladys, was in and out of psychiatric institutions. As a result, Marilyn spent her formative years in foster homes and orphanages without any sense of permanent belonging.
Yes. Well, you're a happy girl now. When you
These experiences left deep emotional scars. She later revealed that she had suffered from abuse in some of these homes, which contributed to her lifelong fear of being unloved or used. The lack of a safe, nurturing environment as a child made her crave affection and approval from others. Her search for love and validation often led to disappointment. Even as an adult, she feared abandonment and rarely trusted those around her. The trauma of her early years never fully healed, and it quietly haunted her success. As Monroe's emotional and psychological struggles worsened, she increasingly turned to prescription drugs, especially barbiturates and sleeping pills, to cope. These substances provided temporary relief but also deepened her instability and clouded her judgment. She became dependent on these drugs to sleep, to manage anxiety, and to get through difficult moments on set. Over time, her tolerance increased, requiring higher doses. Her erratic behavior, being late to shoots, forgetting lines, and disappearing, was often the result of over-medication. This dependency not only harmed her health but isolated her further. Friends and colleagues found it difficult to reach her emotionally. As the drugs took over, Marilyn became more unpredictable, which ultimately damaged her career and increased her sense of loneliness. Monroe longed for love and stability, but her relationships rarely gave her that. Her first marriage to James Doherty was when she was just 16, a way out of the foster system rather than a romantic choice. It ended when she chose fame over domestic life. Her second marriage to baseball legend Joe DiMaggio was intensely passionate but troubled. Joe wanted her to be a traditional housewife, while Marilyn wanted to grow as an actress. They divorced after just 9 months, though DiMaggio remained devoted to her for years after that. Her third marriage to writer Arthur Miller seemed promising. She admired her intellect, and he saw her as more than just a sex symbol. But over time, even he grew distant and disillusioned. Each broken relationship left her more emotionally drained, reinforcing her fear that she was unlovable. Marilyn Monroe became a global icon, but the image that the world adored was not the real her. She was packed as the ultimate blonde bombshell, expected to always look perfect, smile, and exude. Behind that persona was a woman who felt trapped by expectation. She often said she didn't want to be just a joke or a fantasy figure. She wanted to be taken seriously as an actress. But Hollywood often typecast her in superficial roles. Her intelligence and depth were overshadowed by her image, frustrating her deeply. The constant scrutiny of the press and public left her feeling exposed and paranoid. She couldn't live in a private life without being followed or judged. The pressure to maintain her beauty and persona eventually became too much to bear. By the early 1960s, Marilyn's career was faltering. She was fired from Something's Got to Give due to repeated absences and conflicts on sets. Studios began to see her as unreliable, which crushed her. Since acting was one of the few things she believed give her worth, she had always dreamed of being taken seriously in Hollywood and had even started her own production company in an attempt to control her career. But the industry was still not ready to fully support a woman. With her ambitions and history, the combination of personal struggles and public failures made her feel her career and identity was slipping away. She feared being forgotten, irrelevant, or seen only as a used up star, which intensified her depression. In her final years, Marilyn was reportedly involved with both President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert Kennedy. These relationships were never officially confirmed but widely speculated and have fed countless conspiracy theories about her death. Some believe she knew too much about the Kennedys' private lives or political secrets, and her erratic behavior worried powerful people. There are theories that her death was not a suicide but a cover up, but these remains unproven and highly controversial. What is clear is that she felt increasingly alone and mistrustful. If she had confided sensitive information to wrong people, or if she felt betrayed by powerful figures, that could have deepened her despair. Whether or not the conspiracy theories hold truth, her connection to such high profile figures added to her emotional burden. Marilyn Monroe was more than just a pretty face, more than just a Hollywood's golden girl. Behind the dazzling smile and glamorous image was a woman searching for love, meaning, and peace. Her life, though filled with fame and admiration, was shadowed by loneliness, trauma, and inner battle that no one truly understood. Her tragic death at just 36 remains a haunting reminder that even the brightest star can burn out silently. Marilyn's story is not just one of the glamour and fame, it is also a story of pain and struggle, the human cost of being idolized but not truly known. Today, Marilyn Monroe lived on not only her films but also in questions she left behind. Perhaps her greatest legacy is the conversation she started about mental health, identity, and having price of stardom. May her story continue to remain to us look beyond the surface and to treat the vulnerable with compassion and care.